Welcome to episode 5 of On the King's Dime, a wrap-up of preseason, and we had the Clippers and the Kings in a Hawaiian adventure.
Indeed.
I also have Andy here with me.
Hoi hoi.
And then the first game of the season, which was a bit of a fizzer at Qudos at home.
Good crowd. Lots of people turning out to support, I suppose, Bogut and his return home. But it was a bit of a fizz out in terms of, I think, some coaching tactics and some individual performances. But we'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the Kings Clippers game. And for my mind, this was probably the highlight of the preseason. Yep. It was an awesome game to watch. I think Sydney brought their A game to Hawaii, and the Clippers played really well as well. So it was a very much back and forth game to the last quarter. But I think Sydney's kind of lacking depth in about two spots when it comes to an NBA style playing system.
Yeah, I think you watch those NBA teams, and especially against all the Aussies teams, they kind of just are playing a kind of pickup style.
They're playing pickup, and then they're rotating out their main guys, are only playing 4 or 5 minutes a quarter, and then. But I think the Clippers actually tried to win that game. That wasn't there was no junk minutes at the end. That was like, all right, we're taking this home and we're going to beat these Aussie people.
Because we were in the game like after that 37-point second quarter, we were in the game pretty much towards the middle part of the third quarter, and then obviously that's where they kind of took over. Yeah. Montrezl Harrell played pretty well in that third and fourth quarter, which was good for them. But first things first, on the King's Dime, you can find us on YouTube.
Yep.
We are on iTunes and Podcast Addict as well.
Yeah. Yep. So you can find us there and download us.
Yep. And hashtag the collective. Yeah. That podcast network. Yeah.
Yep. And also you can find our mother podcast, Aussies Taking Over the NBA.
Yep.
Going great guns in the moment on YouTube. So.
And I will be doing a solo Aussies Taking Over Europe podcast. Plugging that.
Plodcast.
The old podcast.
The podcast, yeah, man. I won't be doing that one, but I'll be definitely listening because we can watch the home ball courts of 1,000 people plus a band.
Yeah, that was pretty good. So listen to that because that's pretty interesting. Enjoy my wild ride in European basketball. Man, it's pretty funny. It's pretty full on. But watch that and look out for everything that we're doing. Like, share, subscribe. Do it all. Let's go first to the Kings versus the Clippers in Hawaii. First things first, I thought the Clippers were looking pretty dapper in those Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah, mate. It was very themed.
Yeah, it was good.
Themed event.
I thought Gazy should have blown out the old Hawaiian shirt, but I was pretty disappointed he went for the suit.
Yeah, he went for the suit in, I think, in an area where they kind of laugh at you if you wear suits. It's Hawaii. You just got to wear nothing.
But
go Nike.
Doc Rivers and even the commentary team had Hawaiian shirts. The Clippers commentator, he's the guy that goes bingo like that. This is classic, man. I can't remember what his name is, but 110-91 victory to LA. But still, I thought we played pretty well in that game.
Yeah, the style of basketball when you're playing against an NBA team as opposed to an NBL FIBA rule team, the court's much more spread, and that's for both teams. I think you see more of cutting and more running back to get to their mark to shoot the three a lot more effectively than they do in NBL because it's so bunched. Yeah, and especially because they play zone a lot in the NBL instead of man on man, it just doesn't flow. And then when you see a Kings team going playing NBA rules, it flowed a hell of a lot better, and it looked like a better game. And I think the guys obviously adapted to that a lot easier. And it just looked like a nice back and forth flowing game. Jerome Randall, dude's like a champion.
Beast.
He's such a beast, such a good ISO scorer. Like if he was 6'8", he would be top 5.
6'8",
or even 6'4".
6'8" would be amazing, man. He'd be like Ben Simmons with those handles and that speed. Like getting to the rim, man, he's just like lightning, especially in the domestic games as well. Like even in that Clippers game, you could tell sort of in that second quarter where he went off, like he was just like, I'm just going to go for it here. And even in the game on the weekend, which we'll get to, I felt the same thing. Like he always, if you just give him the ball, he can make a play. Yeah. He can get to the rim. He can cross someone up and at least, bring in either a double team or a mismatch or shoot off a switch. And yeah, in this Clippers game, he was just absolutely fantastic. Getting to the line as well. He shot 8 free throws, not too bad. 9 from 19. Obviously, a lot of the buckets he's going to get are getting to the rim, like screen and roll with Bogut or screen and roll with Kick It and Ware, or maybe even Newley. Whereas you look at someone like Lish kind of handles the ball to either give it up or, get a spot up shot. And he played quite well. He hit a nice sort of step back to get him going and another sort of step back in the second half. But his shooting, man, has just fallen off a cliff. It's brutal.
By the wayside, he was dishing them quite well to his fellow compadres. Again, we have to explain the FIBA versus the NBA. NBA, if you're going to the basket or in direction of the basket, it's considered assist. In the NBL or FIBA rules, the ball has to be off the floor. So if they put the ball on the floor, it's not an assist.
Oh, yeah. So
that's why you get those disparities of like double doubles and triple doubles. Then, our best player will have 4 assists on a night. It's a bit different, but that's why the stats measure up as they do. So it's kind of like that pass to assist in the NBL. He's good at getting people in the right spots. And of course, Newley's always good at driving to the basket and handing off. So
yeah.
I think where we really lacked kind of depth is in that ISO scoring. Brian Bowen had a bit of a poor game.
But in that Clippers game,
definitely made up for it on the weekend.
Yeah.
Kick It is always good from outside. You just got to get him open.
Yeah.
And he's a 50% spot up shooter.
Yeah, from the perimeter. I find watching that Clippers game, they gave him 2 shots on the perimeter, like left him open twice, and then he wasn't left open for the rest of the game. It's like, all right, get on that guy type of thing, which is something that you get from the NBA teams. Like they're really well coached like that. They'll shut you down if you're getting hot, which is something I didn't really see on the weekend in that NBL game. But I feel that's like whenever Kick It gets those outside shots, I feel like he's going to knock it down every time. Yeah. Like every time he's taking a 3, you just feel like he's going to knock it down.
Like, is it one of those things is you should be doing like a 2-man screen to get him open because he's the 3-man, or Randall who can just play in isolation, but he's the 3-man. So you got a 7-footer in Bogut, wears a pretty big body, getting them a double screen to get to him and kick it to him so he can put it in the basket. But you just don't see those plays from Sydney much. Their screen setting's pretty poor unless it's Bogut setting the screen and kind of throwing offhand to get someone cutting to the rim. But the rest of them don't really set a lot of screens to score. They've set a lot of screens to kind of weave on the arc. It's just I really kind of despair at Gazer's ability to coach.
Yeah, it's a bit worrying sometimes when you're watching, especially when Bogut has to come out of the post to handle the ball. Like suddenly you're opening up the lane for a drive, and I found in the Clippers game a couple of times people were driving into the screener, or back across the screener, and you're just like, can you not? Do you have you've been a team for how many 7 or 8 games plus a few weeks? Are we still not knowing how each other play? A couple of the times it happened on the weekend as well, where Randall will try and get his man to dribble past a screen, his man screening, and then he'll either try and roll, and then Randall will cross back over and almost straight back into his own man again. Yeah. It's almost like Randall's handles are so good that you don't know where he's going to go. That's how good his handles are.
Out of his way, I think.
Pretty much. I think,
Take the men away. This is the problem with playing zone in a squash court as well. It's very hard to take the man away from him getting to the basket. And that's why in that game in the Clippers, he was so effective.
That's why,
the man on, he's just so much quicker than on a 1v1. But when you got kind of 3 guys trying to slap you on the way to the rim, in the NBL, it's ugly. This is why we're getting to the line 25 times a night in the NBL versus what we would do in the NBA and playing that big man ball. There is no big man ball in the NBL because you've got too much zone and not enough 1v1.
There's not enough spacing out of big men in the NBL. Big men, I was watching a little bit over the weekend. They just get so much more time and room, and you almost don't need to be big physically to get space. Like you're just already afforded this space as a big man, which means you don't have to put the ball on the floor. You can put up a little hook from about 6 or 8 feet, which is something that Bogut doesn't, like it's not his game. Like that's not how he plays. No. And Ware is probably one of the only other back down scorers in the team, and he just isn't a high percentage guy.
It's not a high percentage shot, and he's a guy that actually gets into quite decent positions and never knocks it down. Like he's completely open, gets to the corner, Randall Lish sees him, dishes, and he misses. And
he got this. Yeah, he knocked down 1-3 to start us off in that Clippers game, which was good. But you're right, like. You never, like, where you find Brad Newley driving to the rim, like you find him coming across a flare screen into the lane and someone from the wing will hit him and you think, yeah, Newley's going to finish that. Whereas I just don't see Weir making those cuts. Like he doesn't make that cut. Like he wants the ball in the post to, you know, shoot a post fade away. And then you've got Bogut in there who's also like in his way almost.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, when Bogut comes out to the perimeter like it was obvious in these NBA games, when he comes out to the perimeter, like players go with him, and that's where, you know, the lane opens up. Whereas in the NBL, players don't really go with him in the NBL. They just stay.
They just stay under the rim and camp.
So I was thinking when we were recording the first couple of podcasts, like we were saying, it'll be interesting to see what they do. And obviously they've just done pretty much nothing. He's just let Bogut come out and handle. And he's just a little bit too slow. Like he's old and slow. Like it's not as though as a big man he's one of the faster big men in the league.
No, he's not a fast big man, and he's not a shooting big man. And that's, you know, where you're going to get the issues if you bring him out and he's not able to. There's so many times it's almost like the Ben Simmons conundrum. People are just going to just back off him, and double team Randall or double team Lish, so that he can't handle it and can't pass it off, and the cut's not there. And you've essentially got him just looking around going, oh, fuck, all right, so we'll start the weave again.
Yeah. And then he's got to drive, and then he's got to get to the rim, and then he's got to run all the way back down court to defend the rim, and then he's got to run all the way back down. And then, you know, if he's not handling the ball, it's kind of like it's just such a waste of energy for Bogut, especially. And Kickett's kind of the same. Like he's a big body and he's tall and he's also a little bit slow as well. So
they're all they're all getting on in age. Newley, Kickett, and Bogut, and you can see it in their. You can see it in the speed of Sydney when they're on the floor, they slow the pace down quite substantially, and then when you have a mismatch of them, you end up one or two of them gets left behind.
Yep.
That's why. There was just some weird combinations of the game on Friday that didn't really work for Sydney.
Saturday.
Saturday. But it worked a little bit better for the Clippers, I think, because of the ability to space the floor and the lack of kind of that zone-based defense.
Yeah. And the
no
Clippers...
full court press. That's fucking...
Oh, yeah, the full court press, man, is brutal. And the other thing, too, was the full court trap or the hash mark trap that you see a lot in the NBL. They were doing that to the Clippers and actually getting them to turn the ball over a little bit. It was something like the Clippers didn't know how to deal with it because obviously they're not used to getting that full court press all the way up the court.
Perth tried to do it to the Jazz and got absolutely eliminated. They're just like, we're way faster, sorry.
The Jazz have a lot more weapons, and they've got a big man who's like huge vertical spacing, 7'2", Rudy Gobert. But I thought, did you see that dunk that Gortat missed?
Yeah.
It was a beautiful pass into the lane, and then he just missed the dunk. That was huge. The other thing, too, is in this game, we had Tom Wilson, whereas in the game on Saturday, we didn't have Tom Wilson. I thought that was interesting because you take him away.
Is he injured?
Yeah, he bumped knees with Bogut, and Bogut was all right, and he went down.
He's a great outside shooter and quick. When him and Adam on the court, the game speeds up.
Yeah. And I thought it was obvious on the weekend, like you're missing that extra player who's a good cutter. He's a very clean mover on the court, likes to run off screens, which is where Bogut's kind of bread and butter becomes apparent at the top of the key is where he can screen people and pass to guys running into the lane.
I don't like how they didn't play like Deng Deng. We can, I suppose we can move on. Clippers game, good.
Yeah, it was a good performance. It was good fun to watch that.
I think Clippers gave them respect, whereas I think the Jazz gave
Oh,
absolutely no respect.
They destroyed them, and Philly even had no respect for Melbourne United as well.
No, look, I think Melbourne held their own.
Yeah.
I think they did, but again, Philly just
I think Melbourne's far and away the best team in our comp. Like they're the most versatile. The more like they've got more individual players, and they play a lot better as a team. Like from watching, because that was great to watch all of those teams play against NBA teams. Even the Breakers played really well.
Yeah, they nearly got home.
The what?
They nearly got home.
Yeah, they nearly. The Suns or something like that. They nearly beat the Suns. But it was really obvious. Like it was really obvious that Melbourne is just a much better team than pretty much most of these other teams. Like Perth were pretty poor. The Hawks were pretty poor, but they were playing the top tier teams as well.
Yeah.
Toronto kind of beat Melbourne as well, pretty handy.
Yeah. Look,
But all in all, it was good fun watching these Aussie teams play against them. It was great fun to watch them. So I hope every year that becomes a staple, because a lot of the even the American guys were really happy to have the Aussie teams and talk about the Aussies and stuff like that. It was good to see. And even Goulding looks like he's someone who could pretty easily make the transition to play NBA.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's athletically there.
I don't think he's athletically or body-wise there, but again, if you can hide him as that shooter, like what Dallas are going to do for Brokoff.
Yeah.
He's a 60% shooter in the NBL. Like, that's ridiculous.
Anytime he's like kick it, anytime he's out like unguarded at the 3-point line, he gets the ball, you're just like, this is going in. But yeah, anyway, on to that game on the weekend. I went out there. It was a good experience.
Great
out
crowd.
there.
Good to see so many people going out to see the game and supporting Sydney.
I think it was 10,700. Yeah. Pretty painful to get to Qudos though. There was some sort of like motor show on right out the front of it, and there was people everywhere. It was just like, go away. I just want to go to the basketball. But really family atmosphere. There's a lot of young kids, and I think Australia still suffers from that. What do we really do here at an event? Like, we don't want to look like idiots just going off, and we don't want to scream and yell and shout because we might look like idiots or disturb other people around us. So the atmosphere was a bit subdued. It's kind of to be expected at 2:50 on a Saturday.
Very busy in jail, so.
So hopefully we get that atmosphere rocking in some of the afternoon and night games. But obviously we went down 94-83. It was good to see though that the arena was rocking a little bit. A bit disappointing. I missed most of the first quarter because I was trying to find a park and then run all the way from like Duck Creek to the arena. Bogut had 10 blocks or something.
10 rebounds the first quarter.
10
3
blocks. 10 rebounds.
Yeah, 10 blocks would have been good.
Yeah, that would have been fantastic.
Look, Sydney looked really good first quarter.
Yeah.
I think their starting 5 is almost cemented. I think, for my mind, Weir swaps out for Bowen. I think Bowen now is starting to show why he's potentially was regarded as a very, very prominent high school player.
Yep. I think it was kind of, he was a little bit tentative at the start.
Yeah, I think he's got good handling skills. And he's a good spot up shooter, and I think he just didn't know where he's going to fit into a professional team. He's not 19, so. And then I think he just took it by the balls on Saturday, and
definitely. Like, he looked great, and then he got taken out. It was just weird.
Andrew Gaze finished with potentially the worst of idea. I mean, kick it wasn't on at the end. He was knocking down at 60%. Bowen wasn't on. Adnan was on briefly. And he finished with Newley and Ware, who went very cold on the night. And I just thought, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it was
these aren't
hard.
your go-to guys on this particular evening. I just think, Shane Hill was interviewing him pre-game, and he's just like, what are your coaching tactics? Well, yeah, but, I'm just, doing this, and, and Andrew Bogut's leading, and it's kind of like Bogut's running the team, and he's just collecting a paycheck. I kind of let the guys do whatever they want. I was just like, no, this is a strategic game where you have to start developing some plays, because the NBL, this league is not what it's not about individual skill. It's about team. It's not the league you played in 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You're going to have imports that have played NBA, have played G League at a far higher, rate of what we do. and you're going to have coaches that have coached at higher levels come down. And, you took the Kings to nothing last year.
Yeah.
Bit injury prone, and unlucky with Lish out for the season, but just pulling guys off at random times.
Yeah.
I think Dane Pinot, hard to hide him.
Yeah.
I like to say he's a good player, but it's hard to hide him sometimes
Yeah.
in a big lineup. And I think Daniel Johnson for the 36ers just munched him every time he was on the court, playing the smart foul game, ran around him. He's a much better shooter. And that's why Pinot was only on for 7 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's too many, man. He's got to only play 4 minutes. Either he's trying to manage these minutes, right? Like you look at, I was surprised Randall actually played 37 minutes, because in that fourth quarter, it felt like, where did Randall go? Like he played so well in that third quarter. He was driving the team. He was scoring at will. And it wasn't until after I got home and saw the box score that I went, oh, you played most of that fourth quarter as well. And then Bogut only played 26 minutes. Surely you got to get him up to about 30 minutes, whether he's trying to rest him or...
He was pretty much absent for most of the second and third quarter and kind of brought him back for a finish.
Yeah.
But I think by that stage, the game had quickened up so much.
Yeah.
Adelaide were on a roll that it was kind of pointless.
And then we were missing shots, and they went on that 19-2 run right at the end. It was we just couldn't hit a shot, and it was strange, man. Watching, Bowen should probably play 20 minutes a night. You look at Kickett should be up near 30 minutes a night. Maybe he's coming back from an injury as well, and then Newley as well only played 22 minutes. So those big guys, man, that's where, if we're playing in a downhill system, essentially you're just throwing the ball to Randall and saying, right, go get us a bucket. And then in the fourth quarter, we just went completely away from that.
Yeah, we tried to play this weave game that we seem to love so much and bring Bogut out to the line and try and cut around him and not use him as an offensive rebounder, which I think is silly because he's 7 foot. Play him as the offensive rebounder. But, they were taking silly shots. I think they got a bit flustered with Adelaide because Sobey and Johnson just went on that machine run.
Yeah, every time I looked up at the scoreboard, it was just Sobey and Johnson in double figures the entire time. And I was kind of looking up at our side and I was thinking, okay, Randall's got 20 points. Who else is going to put 15 up? Who else, and then Kickett obviously got hot in that, the end of the third. I think he hit 2 threes in a row and he got hooked. And I just thought, what's going on?
This guy's knocked down threes for the last 15 years. The commentators are calling on Channel 9 that he's the best 4.
Oh, was that on Channel 9, was it?
Yeah, it was on Go.
Oh,
yeah. Channel 9 plays 2 games a week. Fox has all the games. Channel 9 has 2 a week, which is good, I think.
It's decent watching it on Foxtel. It's good quality, the HD quality on the phone now.
It was on Gem HD. So, you kick it. The best scoring forward in the league for the last 15 to 20 years. What is he, 35? So at least 15 years. And you're playing him 23 minutes and he shot 60%.
Yeah.
Your whole game should be around trying to get him free to shoot, to knock down the 3. If you need buckets, you give it to Randall or you set some screens and some pick and rolls for Kickett to get to his spot. Because Ware did nothing. Newley did not a lot. He drove but got unlucky, a couple of bad rolls and didn't score a lot. Lish was bad in isolation. He's just not scoring very well.
Shooting has just gone to shit.
He was 1 from 6. Newley, I don't know why Newley's taken 3-point shots. He was 1 from 6.
Yeah.
That's just stupid. Randall was 40%. Bogut could have knocked down a couple if he tried. And Ware was none from 2. But Bowen was 2 from 2 and he got 17 minutes. I didn't understand what Gaze was trying to achieve with the lineups when he did what he did. It looked like the matchups weren't right.
Yeah.
You want to have Lish on Sobey, he was putting Ware on Sobey was changing onto Ware at times, and it just
Problem is Ware's not a great defender, and
Well, that's what I mean. Like, he's not a great defender, and Sobe's so much quicker.
yeah, and then you got Bogut and Kickett and even Newley who are a bit slow as well. Like they're just a little bit slow for big guys, especially guarding the perimeter. And then if you look at Lish and Randall in isolation, they're both very undersized for their position, which is another problem. I mean,
this is why they were the poor defensive team last year.
And then Kyle Adnam only played 13 minutes. Like if he and we missed Wilson in that game because he's another guy that comes off the bench and he's fast and could get into those little cracks on and off the ball. Yeah,
Deng, like as a forward who has got a bit of height and is a good cut and can defend well. He's long. Didn't get a minute.
Didn't get any time.
And that could have been Pinot's minutes. It could have been, I think he tried to play Ware at 5 for a bit, and then that didn't work, and then played Kickett at 5, and that didn't work. They're too slow.
Yeah, they're just a bit too slow.
They're just a bit too slow. Put Deng in there. Get Deng a Kuthon. Like, he's a block machine. He's not going to score you points. Just fucking run all day and defend that rim. It's just, I don't get what Gaze is trying to do with this team.
No, it's a bit unusual. I was just worried. What did I text you? It's worrying that they don't know how to set a wing pin down.
Yeah.
And especially if you've got Bogut coming out from under the basket up to the 3-point line, your guards need to screen for each other. Otherwise, nobody's going to get open. Like, you can't just run around without screening for another guy. And you look at Lish and Randall, and they're both small. They're not great screen setters.
No.
And then Adnam, I thought he was going to be a lot better this season. I think he's going to be good for us this season, but he kind of struggled a little bit. I wonder if he was nursing a bit of an injury or something like that.
I'm not sure, but he could have taken a few minutes away from Lish, I think.
Yeah. Defensively, he's
a lot quicker defensive. He's a little bit more bulldoggy than Lish. I think that knee injury really hampered Lish.
It was a calf, wasn't it?
A calf, sorry, yeah. Really hampered him. Maybe he's kind of like Bogut in the sense he's not 100% and still trying to get through it. But, plus minus, Adnan was 6 plus, Kick at 12 plus, and Lish was -1. Oh, sorry, yeah.
No.
Adam was 2, Kickett was 3, Pinot was -6, and Lish was -13, Newley 10, -10, Randall -11. Yeah. So,
and that was mostly that run near the end.
It was that run near the end.
That 19-2 run. Pinot came out in the. I was sitting by myself at the end of the thing, and there was 3 guys around me, and they were complaining about something. And then I said, as they came back out for the fourth quarter, I said, "What is Dane Pinot doing out there? Like, why is Dane Pinot coming out in the fourth quarter?" We had a play that, like, straight out of the gate, we had a play that broke down, and then suddenly he appears unguarded on the 3-point line, shoots a 3, and I'm thinking, why is he taking a 3? And then down the other end, he got monstered and then gave away an and 1. And then he got hooked. And I went, why is he even out there in the first place? Like, I'm not trying to, like, hate on him or anything.
Not hating on him. Just, he's not being used at the right time. He's the kind of guy that you'd come in 2 to 3 minutes left in the first quarter, 2 to 3 minutes left in the third quarter. Yeah. Is that rest break period where the game slows down a bit. Randall can go in more in isolation, and you can hide him, and you get good minutes out of him that way. Yeah. But not in the first 2 or 3 minutes of a quarter.
Nah, I thought it was weird that he came back out in that fourth quarter. But the same with Brian Bowen, where the same thing happened where he just got hooked sort of, I think, about halfway through the third. And I just looked down and went, why are you bringing this guy off here? I think he just hit a 3. And I know he just got into the basket for an and 1. Yeah. And he got taken out. And I just thought, what's going on? That's a bit weird. But I hope this NBL side, I hope they do more advanced, like, lineup analytics, which you can't really get on the box score. But that would be interesting to see what our lineups are this year, because from preseason there's 2 or 3 lineups where obviously you've got Bogut at center, Randall at the point. And I almost feel like Lish is a bit of a third wheel type player. Like
he's like an off-ball guard, but he's not shooting. So
but doesn't have the size. Like if you were playing Bowen in that guard, like if you played Randall, Bowen, then Newley, Kickett, Bogut, obviously your 3 forwards are pretty slow. And then you've got at least Randall and Bowen who can score in isolation if everyone kind of gets out of the way.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to emulate that as a style and a system, then you start bringing different guys in. It just changes. Oh, you can't play like that if you bring one guy out and pull one guy in. suddenly you've got Kickett who will shoot off a screen, and then you've got Bogut who can't shoot at all. So, like, once you take him out, you can't bring another guy in that's the same. And then, obviously, once you take Kickett out, Ware can't shoot from the outside, and neither can Newley. It's just like every time you move one piece, the whole thing kind of falls over as a style and a system. It's like every single lineup has a totally different style and totally different system.
Yeah.
There isn't just a lineup of 5 guys who play this type of basketball, and this is how they play on offense, and this is how they play on defense.
They haven't really put together a backup unit.
No,
They've put together backups for positions, but they haven't brought a 2 unit to the game. Like,
yeah, which is where like the guys coming in and out really hurt us on the weekend.
Yeah.
It's because this is our second unit, and this is what we play as the second unit in the second quarter. We don't seem to have that. We seem to have all right, bring Kickett out for Bowen. All right, bring Bowen out for Ware. All right, now bring Panau on for Ware. Now, okay, take Bogut out and put Kickett out there. Like, there isn't, like, it's just substitutions for the sake of substitutions.
Yeah.
There isn't a cohesive system, and that's a bit worrying. Where how many games, like 10 games nearly into the season, like into having this lineup, like a fully matured roster, and there just seems to not be that cohesion of 5 guys who can play. And almost like you could almost just play a 5-man lineup for 30 minutes each or 32 minutes each, and then just like sample the minutes out for everyone else.
Yeah.
But there doesn't even seem to be that. Like, it just seems to be individual guys get subbed in and out. And the whole style, like, nobody knows what the style is anymore.
Yeah, it all kind of falls apart. And that's really, not bringing the right guys in at the right time, not matching up. Gaze doesn't match up against defensive options well, I don't think. He doesn't bring, okay, right, well, you've got now a 6'4" guard. I'm going to put Adnam on him.
Yeah.
Instead of, all right, well...
And Randall's stuck out there having to defend anyone. Like, it doesn't matter who it is. Randall's going to be a mismatch on anyone every time.
Yeah, but it's like sometimes he was switching on to bloody Johnson.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Yeah, and he'd just get monstered. And even Randall would just go, I can't do anything. What am I meant to do? And you just have to go, fair enough.
Randall has to be on Sobe. If they get switched on, they need to switch. Like, the defensive structure is fucking terrible.
Yeah, it's a bit all over the shop. But even Bogut's kind of, he puts a bit of stress on that as well. Like, the way he plays, obviously, if the ball enters the post and he's not in position and he can't go block hunting and he doesn't have the foot speed to really get in front of somebody and get into a good defensive position, like, all he wants to do is kind of come across and block a shot as soon as someone's going up. Like, he'll wait for someone to go up. Like, not necessarily like wait for them, but that's what he's looking for. That's his timing. That's what he's trying to do. But it's almost like the other guys who are there with him, like the forward that plays with him, needs to be the body getting in front of everyone and letting him do that. But it's almost like they're not doing that.
Well, they weren't even boxing out.
No, it was, I didn't look at how many boards they got, offensive boards, but it felt like it was a lot.
Offensive boards, 16 to, what was it? 16
to 15. So they're only 15 boards.
Only 15 offensive.
But even Drimich has got 4. He's a guard, or he's listed as a forward, but I think he's only 6'4".
I can see now, most of the offensive boards were Bogut putting back his own misses.
Yeah.
So...
And they didn't run that role play where they set a double screen and Bogut slips it and runs all the way through and gets that lob. They didn't run that play at all. Like I was telling you that they've put it in the kit bag to make sure that they don't show everyone that play, and they didn't even bring it out at all. Like, didn't feel like Bogut got any rolls at all to the rim, which was, it was tough because that's kind of one of the biggest ways he's going to score. He got 4 blocks though.
He did get 4.
He's such a beast,
he's
man.
He's a good rim protector, and he's always going to rebound well for you, but he's not a back down scorer.
Nah.
He's not a scorer anywhere outside of 4 feet, unless it's a dunk or So the way they play at the moment is expecting him to play in isolation or to come out to the 3-point line and generate a pass option, which he did a few times.
Yeah.
But again, you're not going to do that well with Newley, Kickett, because they're slow.
Mm.
And so this team, we miss Wilson. Hopefully he'll be back for next week. But if they tighten up their defense, it gets a lot better.
Mm.
And I think that's what they really need to do, is work on their switching on the defensive side, make sure Randall's on a guard, is on one only. They switch on him, double team, because that's the weakest link, right? In terms of defense, is your offense. So, more to the point, how are they going to come back from it? Well, got to play Brian Bowen a lot more.
Yeah.
Deng Deng's got to come in as that kind of David will take minutes off Ware or potentially Newley, because he's quicker. You can play that Adnan, Wilson, Bowen, Deng, and Deng Akuth is a 5-man unit you can play as a backup that works in terms of both body and speed.
Yeah. And then you give Randall some time off the court as opposed to leaving him in with these other units. Yeah. But so I think if Wilson, because that's kind of what they were doing in the preseason, they were bringing in Wilson and then playing like these Adnan, Wilson, and then Deng Akuth and whoever, like Penau or something like that. These lineups that were more versatile. I think, that's what Gaze is. Yeah, that's what Gaze is going to have to do.
Yeah, but I don't think he wants to do that. I think he's kind of like, I'll just go to these guys. These have been playing for like 10 years.
Well, it felt like that individuals thing where they just, all right, sub this guy out for this guy out for this guy. But there's no cohesive structure here where this is how we're playing with this lineup. This is how we play with this lineup. This is how we play with this lineup. It's just like we take one guy out and put one guy in. And it's like, but that whole structure breaks down now.
Who do I switch on to?
Yeah.
I didn't see anyone switching on for size. He doesn't size up matchups. Very amateur coaching. Anyway.
Well, but it's early days. Like you'd want to, there's just some fundamental stuff where like movement type stuff, like screening, like when Bogut comes out, you almost need 2 guards to run and cut to take advantage of the passing. And he had a couple of good passes as well in that game. There was a nice one where Randall ran around a screen and he dished it in between for a layup. That was quite good. He had 4 assists. So you'd want him to be maybe taking like 7 shots a game. And then, grabbing 15 boards and getting 5 or 6 assists, and then 4 blocks, a couple of that block on Deng.
Yeah.
Whatever Deng. There's so many Dengs that.
Yeah, there's a lot of Dengs.
Deng City. But looking forward to the next game, which is Friday,
they play the 36ers again.
Yeah.
In Adelaide. They've got to do something a bit different. Otherwise the 36 are going to have a pretty bad night to lose. I think Sobey and Johnson are just too powerful for the lineup at this current point. But defensively speaking, but you never know. And then they play the Breakers in New Zealand on Sunday, 21st at midday Australia time. So that'll be
a quick turnaround. One. There's a lot of weird Friday, Sundays, and Saturday, Mondays. It's weird. Yeah, it's a strange sort of
setup. But you know what? They've got to get 28 games in 19 weeks. So that's why they're doing this. And we'll probably come to you Sunday afternoon with the next rendition, wrapping up those 2 games for Sydney. But I think they really need to work on player rotation and ability to switch the defense. I mean, scoring is scoring. I think that if you're a basketball player, you should be able to score. And if you're having a bad night, you're having a bad night. How you overcome that bad night is you grind down on the defense. And they didn't lock down Adelaide at all.
Nah.
They just let them through. There's so many easy buckets.
Yeah.
So many easy buckets. And Johnson was just allowed to do whatever he liked because he would essentially just switch on to either Newley or kick it and beast his way to either an and one or to the line.
But I think, I wonder if Kicker is still sort of struggling from that injury, just a little bit, whether he's sort of playing his way back into a little bit of form. Maybe Bogut still has that knee trouble that he clashed knees. But definitely I think they need to find another guy that's going to play 30, 32 minutes with Randall and is going to always be out there and always be effective with Randall, because I'm not sure if they can play that Randall, Lish, and then whoever else line up. It just doesn't.
Well, you can't play.
Doesn't gel properly.
You can't play Randall Adnam, and when Adnam's on the field, you really can't have Lish or Randall on the field.
Yeah.
Like he's got to be solo with a bigger 2 guard that can come across and double team the defense, because he's quick. It's got to be a fast unit, and I think Randall plays much more isolation. He slows the play down a lot more. and sets a lot more kind of pick and rolls and things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas Adnam and Wilson are kind of just like guns blazing.
Yeah.
A lot better on the in the transition offense.
Yeah, so that about wraps it up. Bit disappointing, but I was great. I was happy to just watch some live basketball. It was good fun, and I want them to win every game, but there are some fundamental things that aren't really going right, which are pretty obvious that they need to fix. So hopefully they come out again against Adelaide and come out and
get shit done.
Yeah, in Adelaide.
Cool. All right, man.
No worries. We'll wrap that here, and we will bring you another episode on Sunday after the next game.
After New games. 2 games. Wrap up both games. Cool.
All right.
Peace
Peace everyone.